While pesticides play a vital role in protecting crops, they must be handled responsibly to safeguard human health, animal welfare, and the environment. This video highlights the importance of farmers understanding the pesticide label, which is a legal document under the Fertilizers, Farm Feeds, Agricultural Remedies and Stock Remedies Act of 1947. Pesticide labels have changed, and it's important for users to understand what those changes mean.
We no longer see the color bands that was synonymous with the WHO labeling system. Pesticide labels now need to conform to the GHS labeling system. So what exactly are the 4 key elements to look out for, which communicates the hazards of a pesticide product? Firstly, the pictograms associated with the GHS. Secondly, the signal word. Thirdly, the hazard statements. And finally, the precautionary statements.
Let's take a look at how pesticide product labels, including pictograms and signal words, should be read.
The purpose of the GHS pictograms is to graphically present the hazards associated with a pesticide product. There are 9 hazard pictograms associated with the GHS that are composed of black symbols on a white background with a red diamond frame. GHS pictograms, which now appear on pesticide labels, are intended to immediately alert the user handler to the hazards of the product. Signal words are also form of an integral part of the GHS compliant label, where 1 or 2 words appear below the pictograms to emphasize a pesticide's hazard by indicating the relative severity. A danger signal word indicates more severe hazards, whereas a warning signal word indicates the less severe hazards.
Hazard statements appearing on GHS-compliant labels are standardized phrases that provide an immediate indication of the specific hazards, as determined by the hazard classification. In other words, hazard statements describe the nature and severity of the chemical hazard. Precautionary statements help explain how to handle a hazardous substance or mixture and which precautions to take to prevent adverse effects resulting from exposure to these hazards.
There are 4 types of precautionary statements applicable to prevention, response, storage, and disposal. While there are no longer PPE pictograms on the labels of pesticides, farmers must remember that the level of self-protection is now communicated through the precautionary statements.
The group code found near the top of the label refers to the mode of action group of the product's active ingredient. This information is important for managing resistance in pests, such as the tomato leaf miner, Tuta absoluta, or the fall armyworm, for example.
In a nutshell, and in a practical sense, refer to the resistance warning guidelines on product labels, as well as the directions for use for the crop pest situation. Take note of the number of applications allowed in a season, in a block, and be sure to follow the resistance management instructions. Some products will provide recommendations on alternative products, which emanate from different mode of action groups where more sprays are required in a cycle. However, if this is not the case, then another suitably registered product for the crop pest situation will be required that has a different mode of action or resistance group code, and in such an instance, farmers should speak to their crop advisors or pest management consultants for technical support in compiling spray programs for pests capable of developing resistance to pesticides. When compiling a spray program for a particular block in this context, remember that a product with the same mode of action group cannot be returned to within 60 days, where it is generally recommended to use a single mode of action group rotated with other mode of action groups once per season in a block. By taking pesticide resistance management seriously, farmers can prevent or delay resistance, resulting in pesticides remaining useful for longer while also preventing potential crop loss due to product failure.
Did you know there are specific restrictions on how certain agricultural remedies can be used? Let's take a closer look.
If you walk around the environment where agrochemicals are sold, you walk into a farm store, you'll notice that some of the commodities we use in agriculture now have a particular little red band on the top of the label which says restricted agriculture remedy only for use by a pest control operator. That came about because of the new regulations of Act 36 of 1947 in 2023, because of the fact of the high hazard of those chemicals, whether it was an acute hazard or a chronic hazard. The department decided that only certain people may use such remedies. And that person must be a qualified pest control operator, which means the person must be trained, the person must get experiential training and must then be certified by the department as a pest control operator to use it on his or her farm. So what does it mean for the farmer? It means for the farmer, if I want to use that restricted agriculture remedy on my farm, I must either be certified myself or someone in the farm must be certified to oversee the team of people that apply the pesticide on the farm, because the law says in terms of the pest control operator regulations that if you use a restricted agriculture remedy, there must be a registered pest control operator present to oversee the job or the process and the people applying the remedy on the farm, so that we prevent any mishaps from happening with the chemicals, because they are classed much higher in terms of the hazard and the risk than the normal agriculture remedies we use on the farms.
Knowing when pesticides and agrochemicals have expired is important for safety and effectiveness. Let's get more information.
In our current regulations, we don't have the mandate given to manufacturers to put an expiry date on the containers. But what they need to put onto a container of any pesticide in the market is a batch number and the date of manufacture, which is often indicated as DOM. And you get a date there. Now, people don't understand that in terms of the law, the expiry date of most of our pesticides is actually 2 years after the date of manufacture. We call that the shelf life. So if you don't see expiry date printed on the label or printed on the container, it's quite simple. Go to that little sticker or look at the bottom of the container. Sometimes it's printed on the label, and you look for that thing which says DOM or manufacture. And if it says, for example, let's say 12/24, you add on exactly 24 months, and that is your expiry date, because, like I said, most of our products have a 2-year shelf life, and then you know exactly what is the shelf life and the lifespan of that product in the market. And your job as the farmer is to make sure you use your product up before it expires, because if it expires and use it then, you have no guarantee that your product will give you the desired results on your crop, and that your crop might not end up with undue residue limits that you don't want on your crop.
Thanks for watching. Remember that farmers and managers have to understand how to read and implement information on pesticide labels. You're welcome to reach out with any questions or visit the CropLife SA website for more tools and training.